It is sound design day today. I want to record like a skill saw, a power saw, and I want to process it and make some cool, unique sound effects with it. Earlier this week, I was writing a track for a publisher, a new publisher actually, and I was writing like some horror music for them. The release, I think, is going to be coming out sometime early 2022. I started leaning into some custom sound design for it. I was getting a little bored with the tools I had been kind of reaching for with some of my recent tracks. So I wanted to freshen it up a bit and make some of my own. And I got some really fun results using this power saw. Now, I don't want to go ahead and use the sounds in my track in this video. I kind of want to leave those, kind of keep it fresh for the publisher, but I want to go ahead and record some other sounds and see if I can't process it and make something kind of fresh and new for myself later on down the road. But yeah, it's I think it'll be a fun idea to record these sounds. Like when I was recording it the other day, I was making some cool like stutter effects and stutter sounds out of it, and I think we can do some of that kind of thing too. But I want to maybe push it a little bit farther, see if I can't make something a little different out of these as well. Yeah, let's just go ahead. Let me go grab my my gear. I'll grab the saw, I'll grab the microphones, and I'll get set up in Logic and we'll record it, and then I'll clean it up and we'll start processing some of this. I don't really want this to be like a tutorial by any means. I think this is just kind of like a fly on the wall. I'm gonna just work. I'll probably talk through what I'm doing, but if I'm being honest, this is kind of just experimenting today. So I don't know if there's really anything to teach besides, just watching and seeing, what I do. So hopefully this is interesting, but I've talked long enough. Let's go ahead, let's go record some sounds and have fun with it. Now we're talking. This is the skill saw I'm going to be using today to record some fun sounds. Let's make some room, shall we? All congested up in here. But yeah, this is the saw I'm gonna use to record some sounds and see if we can't process it into something kind of usable. Let's get the microphone set up first of all. The microphone I'm using is just this little condenser mic I have. I've got the Zoom H5 as well, and I do a lot of source recording with this, but I use this more when I'm out and about. I've used this in other videos, like I made a sound design tutorial about how to make sub booms, and I use this to record sounds around my apartment. So it's great for that kind of thing. It's got a little stereo pair of mics underneath there. But for this purpose, I kind of just want to use a condenser, just hook it right up to my interface and just record some sounds with the skill saw or whatever, the power saw. So yeah, I'm gonna get that hooked up, and I've got Logic open right now too. Yeah, the thing I'm thinking about too, when we think about the skill saw, really the only control I have over sound anyways is gonna be the trigger here. So it's not like I can like change much in terms of like how much power I'm giving it. Like I can kind of give it a short burst, or I can hold it and like the saw will power up and get louder. So I'm thinking we could do like some risers with it and stuff. But aside from that, there's not much variety you can get out of this thing. It kind of has one job and does one job only. And it's not a musical instrument, that's the other thing. We're turning it into a musical instrument today, but it's not its intended use. So we'll get creative. I feel if I just record a bunch of sounds with this and just have like a folder of like 10 to 20 different samples, we can start to dive in and at least, maybe make something usable out of it. So I've got a pop filter on here. I don't feel like taking it off. It's not necessary for what we're doing. In fact, I'm not going to use this at all because, you'd really only use this for singing or talking. It protects, your recordings from all those nasty plosives and whatnot. So I'm gonna plug it into my interface now, little XLR cable. Beautiful. Set it to the right input, that's important of course. And then from there, I'm gonna put on my headphones to record. So I'm using the Bayer Dynamic DT770 Pro. That wants to focus. These are the headphones I've been using for a few years now. And they're great, and they're perfect for this kind of thing. So we're gonna use those. Oh, let's get this saw plugged in. Oh yeah, now we're cooking. Alright, so let's start recording now. Yep, we're getting audio. Okay, so it's important not to get the blade caught up in my headphone wire. That'd be a very sad day, so. Alright, so we're back. I've gone ahead, I've recorded all the sounds, and then I've gone in Logic and I've kind of cleaned things up and chopped them up into individual files rather than one long session. So this is kind of what it looks like now. It's just, basically 20 different wave files. I just labeled it pretty simply, just skill saw 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. And there's just a variety of different recordings in here, from some long recordings to some short little bursts with the saw. But yeah, let's just go ahead. Let's start playing around with this. So I've reversed the sound so we kind of almost get this riser. Let's go ahead though, maybe to get like a stuttery sound, I could use like Tremolator by Soundtoys. I'm just going to open up an instance of the effect rack though, rather than the specific plugin itself. Because if I want to reach for some other tools, it's nice to just have the effect rack as opposed to loading, 5 different plugins. So here's the Tremolator, and it sounds like this. Which that's fine, that's cool. Let's get a faster pace though. Let's try 32. That'll be quick. Cool, I like that. A little pan man to it. So with the pan man, it kind of sends things from one speaker to the other, and you can kind of go, back and forth. You can go from right to left or left to right, and then you have the rate where you can kind of set how fast you want it to move. So let me turn this off real quick. Offset. There, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Little decapitator. Let's also add an instance of black hole to this. I'm a big fan of using this reverb for sound design purposes. Let's also go ahead, let's pitch this down a little bit. I like using the wave sound shifter. That's pretty sick. Let's do that. Make that 100% wet. Let's bounce that in place. Actually, one other thing I want to do before I bounce this in place. I kind of want to stretch this out a little bit. So a cool way to do that, if I hold Alt, if I hover over the end of this track in Logic and then I hold Alt, you'll see I get this different little icon, or different little symbol. That's a good way to stretch out audio without going into like edit and time stretch. You can stretch it out that way, but a quick shortcut is just hold down Alt, and then you can kind of stretch out the audio so it sounds like this. Let's try it fast actually. No, I don't like that as much. Okay, bounce in place. I also want to take thermal off and kind of layer these together, see what we got. Let's try something else. Sounds gross. It's kind of, I don't know, it kind of sounds, I don't know if cyberpunk's the word, but kind of electronic, hybrid-ish, kind of almost like a unique riser right there. So let's layer that with the other one. Cool. Let's call that a sample right there. Bounce that out. Sure. Let's try a long one. Sure. I kind of have this idea where I want to throw it through some guitar amps, and I think for this I want to try Native Instruments guitar rig. I've got 5 and 6. Let's just start, I guess, with where am I? I guess we can start with 6, I suppose. I guess it doesn't really matter. They're a little bit different. I think that they have all the same components in it, but I think I'm a little bit quicker at navigating around with 6. I really don't use this plugin nearly as much. More for sound design based stuff these days. You know, I'm kind of using my Kemper to do most of my guitar tones. Every once in a while I'll break this out. I did an album earlier this year where I used guitar rig on a few songs, but it's mostly the Kemper these days. So let's just play around with some of the presets, see what we can get. Go to genres, ambient. That doesn't sound like a saw anymore. Just experimenting. Right there, that's a pulse right there, if I say so myself. Let's copy this a few more times. Pretty cool. What else can we do? I really like this thermal plugin. I mean, I'm not saying that it's great to throw 1,000 instances on it, but then again. Cool, let's call that a pulse as well. Let's just bounce that out. Alright, let's make another riser. That riser was too short. I want a long one. So, I want this tail end here. Alright, so what I'm thinking is I'm going to take the sound where the pitch decelerates. I'm going to reverse that, but then I'm also going to layer in the start of it where it just ramps up itself. And I'm going to blend those. I'm going to layer those, see if that's a good idea. But I want to stretch them out too. How do I do this? Reverse. Now let's stretch this out. Let's make it pretty long. See if that doesn't completely destroy the audio. Honestly, that's kind of sick. I would almost use that just as is. I mean, maybe I'd clean it up a little bit, but like, that's pretty cool. Saws are like the instant riser machine. You know, I was once told a tip back when I was first getting into all this, and I didn't really have much sound design experience at all, but I had a buddy tell me to do this same kind of thing, but with like a vacuum cleaner. Sometimes starting up the vacuum or turning off the vacuum, it does the same kind of thing, and he said those make really effective risers as well. So vacuum cleaners, power saws, power tools, like drills, all that kind of stuff, I think that you could really get some cool hybrid sounds out of them. But yeah, let's stretch this one out too. Alright, what's it sound like? It's so sick. Let's do some more thermal. Do extreme though. A little too much. No, but yes on the other layer. So I'm going to flip-flop these so this layer gets that cool effect. But that's sick. That is sick. And the thing with this, you have this dry-wet control fader, whatever you want to call it, which makes it nice. You can really see what the what thermal's doing to it, but then you can kind of cut it back and blend it to taste. So I'm liking that. Let me go ahead and bounce that in place real quick. I'll do this. This is what I'll do. Mute on and off. I'll turn off thermal on this so we get that clean layer. Let's use the Data Life, the Endless Smile. This thing's awesome. Perfect. Automation is your friend. I kind of like that it like instantly cuts off too. Sometimes I'll throw sometimes I'll throw reverbs on it, so after the riser hits, like you get that tail, which is nice. A lot of times I kind of like those sudden stops too. So I think we're gonna call that a sound effect right there. So I'll bounce that out, and there you go. Alright guys, I hope that was kind of interesting, kind of maybe useful or inspiring. Maybe you want to record some of your own sounds and you didn't know that some of the coolest sounds ever are kind of everyday household items. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of other things you can do. I know I kind of just made a pulse and 2 risers, but I know like sometimes I've done stuff like this, and if you take a blast and maybe you throw certain guitar amps on it, before you know it, you'll get like a cool brom as well. You know, maybe you pitch it down a little bit and it just gets really deep and gross sounding. You might get some unique broms, but for the sake of this video, I mean, I'm already at 25 minutes of recording time. I could probably make an hour-long video on this just experimenting, but I know that, well, frankly, I don't think anyone would watch a whole hour of this. Maybe you would, let me know if you would. But yeah, I don't know, I just hope this was kind of interesting, kind of helpful, and I don't know, maybe you learned something from it, because I was just kind of messing around and experimenting. The way I'm doing things right now isn't necessarily the way I always do it. Sometimes I'll use different tools, and maybe I'll spend a little bit more time, you know, EQing and compressing certain elements, but I kind of like the way it was sounding as is. I think we got pretty lucky today with the recordings, and you know, I've got all this source audio now, so I can kind of dig into it if I want to make some sound design off camera or whatever, or I've got some stuff I can do that with now. So anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.